Can we just talk about how cute the streets are here? I just came across the street and I'm like, what the heck? How insane!
God.
I booked this trip about 6 days ago and I cannot wait.
We are taking off on a 7-day cruise.
We're off to have a lovely couple of days.
Mediterranean coastline, Italy's Cinque Terre.
I literally cannot believe that I'm here right now. 3 full days, then we head to Amsterdam for 3 days, and then London for 3 days.
Paris. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm in Dubrovnik. Get a photo.
Goodbye Spain, hello Switzerland. We're in Germany right now, but yes, hello Switzerland. All right.
Sun, summer, sands, and booze by the bucketful at the beach. You just forget work and everything, and drink it all away.
This is crazy. What a way to end our time here in Montenegro. We were only here for 2 days, and we are driving off now to Bosnia, but look at this place.
I know.
2016 saw 1.2 billion tourists around the world, with Europe as their primary destination.
Back with more of the best of Europe.
Locations that, the views, that you can see them in real life.
We're going to Ljubljana in Slovenia, which is a mouthful. I've only just learned how to properly say that.
Switching gears, business is booming in Barcelona, but despite Spain's recent economic problems, the local government has rolled up the welcome mat to tourists.
There's many challenges we face in the Western Balkans. I think the most immediate one is actually bizarre. It's because it's so beautiful here. It's so amazing here. The big investors are now turning their gaze on this part of the world.
After the war, Dubrovnik was desperate to open its doors to visitors again, but did so with no regulation or planning in place.
Dubrovnik needs to keep Dubrovnik's identity.
Even worse for the residents of major tourist cities like Paris, Amsterdam, Barcelona, or Venice. Cities that once had a balance between tourism and the needs of locals suddenly feel overrun.
Residents say the expansion has been largely uncontrolled.
But some projections indicate there's an even more urgent danger, depopulation. The city
They
is
also worry they're being priced out of their own neighborhoods by companies that target short-term rentals.
Streets and local grandmothers used to dry clothes on the ropes and such things that you hardly see anymore. So there are less and less inhabitants because it's too expensive.
For years in Venice, where we've heard many residents and activists saying these ships are simply too big for this fragile
city. This is no Hollywood production. It is what residents of this ancient city have long feared would happen. 9 stories high, 65,000 tons, capable of carrying 2,500 passengers and out of control. The MSC Opera plows into Venice's quayside.
But there's a problem here, right? If we're going to these places to escape from our daily lives, to take a break from our responsibilities, and we're going not long enough to experience the consequences of our actions, and the dynamic that we have is one where we're tourists who are consumers, and the places that we're visiting are the products that we're consuming, we're not exactly set up well to create a positive impact.
Barcelona is a welcome tourist, but we must be very conscious to maintain the level of satisfaction of the tourist. And only maintaining the level of satisfaction, we will be able to welcome in the future.
The local authorities of very few major cities in the world have adopted a comprehensive responsible tourism policy or policies and committed to implementing them with action plans and strategies. While there are cities with sustainable strategies and cities with tourism strategies, few link these two in a formal and robust way.
Okay, the question was, is it already too late for the Western Balkans? I'm of the opinion it's not. Why do we want tourism? Why is it important, and what kind of people do we want into our homes? And obviously, one of our challenges is to help people understand what is of value here. It is the authenticity of this place, and the nature, and the culture, and the way of living. And it's nothing we should be running away from. Value, not volume, is the kind of travelers we want here.
What you should care about is whether Airbnb makes neighborhoods unaffordable, because Airbnb is letting a handful of people eat up the entire housing market.
You've published a report on sustainability in tourism and the effect that Airbnb has. What have you found?
We're actually bringing travelers outside of the typical tourist hotspots, and so Airbnb is a means for distributing and scaling tourism over a broader surface area. That's actually really good for cities, and with that tourism comes a lot of spending, and the money is being spent at local businesses in these neighborhoods, which is very good for the economy.
The more Airbnb grows, the more cities' supplies of regular housing shrink. The more the housing supply shrinks, the more housing prices rise. It happens everywhere.
France, Italy, Spain, Bosnia-Herzegovina, the United Kingdom, all these countries, whether big or small, are being threatened with the same problem, air pollution.
Britain was back in the dark ages. Thousands of square miles were blanketed day after day. Breathing this for several hours in a traffic jam can't be healthy for anybody.
Today it appears much cleaner, but the reality is that London's air is so dirty, it's been breaching legal limits set out by the EU for years.
I want you to act as if the house was on fire. I have said those words before. A great number of politicians have told me that panic never leads to anything good. And I agree. But when your house is on fire and you want to keep your house from burning to the ground, then that does require some level of panic. We are in the midst of the 6th mass extinction. Our house is falling apart, and our leaders need to start acting accordingly.
There's going to be a problem, and that problem isn't one where we all suffer, we all sit in the same boat. Climate change always affects those the most who have done the least to cause it, and those who have profited most from the activities that destroy the climate have the resources to protect themselves. Climate change is about polar bears, and it's about the weakest and most marginalized in the world suffering from the activities of the richest and most powerful in the world, which takes us right back to Germany, right?
Can you imagine how different the world could look if every private enterprise, if every tourism operation protected some small area of their backyard?
But environmentalists question if it is worth it, considering the damage cruises inflict on the local ecosystem.
I learned that we are part of the environment. And I also learned that because we're part of the environment then must mean everything that we do with each other. So it's how we treat each other. It's human rights, civil rights, economic equity, gender equality, all the ways that we treat each other manifest in the environment around us.
Bodies wash up on the shore of the Greek island of Lesbos. Migrants and refugees who didn't survive their journey to Europe.
The Greek island of Lesbos conjures up picture postcard images of idyllic villages nestled amid stunning olive groves. It has long been a natural passage as well for migrants and refugees desperate to get to Europe.
Welcome to Rome, a city buzzing on the surface despite the economic crisis engulfing the country. But look closer and there's another side to the city and signs of another European crisis.
Tourists sunbathing on Sicily's southern beaches got a nasty reminder on Monday that their sun trap is a death trap for many migrants seeking a better life in Europe.
The Libyan route has been virtually shut down, but at a terrible human cost, in which European leaders with their domestic concerns are complicit.
Residents of this neighbourhood of Treviso in the north of Italy are angry that migrants are moving into empty apartments nearby.
In response, went on a 2-hour shooting rampage in Macerata, targeting anyone who didn't look Italian.
London-based immigration lawyers have been gathering evidence of the torture extortion racket.
They were tortured on the phone while the traffickers would call their mom or their dad. They would torture them to scream, and the parents would be told they had to pay huge sums of money to save them.
I think it's been very bad for Europe. I just think it's changing the culture. I think it's a very negative thing.
The great irony is that the city of Salzgitter was built in the dying days of the war to accommodate refugees fleeing from the Eastern Front.
Today, a tough new law came into force there, giving border authorities new power to detain asylum seekers indefinitely and house them in converted shipping containers until their cases are heard. The UN says the measure is illegal. The country's hardline prime minister, Viktor Orban, says it'll save Europe.
That's why it's so important that we all go out on the street today to say that we are many, many people who want to shelter those who are waiting for us at the borders of Europe.
This is crazy. We are exhausted, we are dirty, we are ready to shower, but most importantly, we are ready to explore. We're very central in Athens. We're just gonna explore and walk around, and I'm so excited. Oh my God.